Today, Caillou is learning that sometimes being grounded can go too far. It all started when Caillou was supposed to go to the store to buy a new sex swing for Mommy and Daddy. But instead, Caillou saw Elon Musk get out of his fresh new Tesla. Caillou hated Teslas because it helped the environment, or because he was jealous he didn't have one. It's one of those reasons. It's Caillou, so you can guess which reason it was. Caillou decided to slit the tires of the brand new Tesla. Yeah, that'll show that stupid Nazi. Yeah, that'll show that stupid loser. Just then, Daddy came up behind Caillou, holding his 12th beer. "What are you doing?" Daddy screamed. "What?" Caillou shrieked. "I did a good thing," he argued. "You drunken bald cancer piece of shit. Little dick having no good, having ketchup stain on your shirt, having ass. That's not even a Tesla. That's a Honda Civic," Daddy yelled. "That's it, Caillou. You're grounded for 47,900,831,421 years. No Chuck E. Cheese, no inhaler, no going over to the creepy neighbor's house that allows you to play Xbox as long as you have your shirt off. Nothing." Daddy burped. Caillou cried. He liked the old guy that allowed him to play Xbox as long as his shirt was off. When Caillou got home, things only got worse. "Ground him forever," Rosie said, while clapping her sticky hands. "Rosie, shut up before I ground you for being a nigger ginger." Caillou snapped. Daddy gasped. "Caillou, that's it. You're grounded until I finally learn how to please your mom in the bedroom." The walls shook. Caillou didn't know what that meant, but he knew it sounded like forever. Daddy grabbed a scroll longer than the Bible. "Here's your punishments, Caillou. No TV until I stop getting drunk in the garage on weekends. No video games until dinosaurs come back from extinction. No chicken nuggets until I get drunk in the garage again. And finally, you have to sleep outside in the backyard with the raccoons," Daddy drunkenly said. "This is abuse," Caillou cried. "Shut up, Jason," Daddy said, confusing Caillou for his other son, whom he had from an affair no one knew about. "Now go clean your homework." Caillou marched to his room, angry and confused. "What the hell is that drunk bastard talking about cleaning my homework?" Caillou angrily muttered. "I hate this family. I hate Daddy. I hate Mommy. I hate the stupid gardener that comes to see Mommy while Daddy is at work. I hate this family," Caillou said to himself in his room, unaware that Daddy was standing in the doorway. "Caillou, how dare you say I have a small peener? That's it. You are grounded. Grounded. Daddy screamed. But nothing. "Come here, you bald homosexual." Daddy dragged him outside, tied him to a tree, and shot him in the leg. It was then that Caillou realized his dad was literally insane. Caillou the pimp. Caillou woke up one morning and realized he needed money. Not for toys, not for candy, not even for Pokemon cards. No. Caillou needed money to buy the new Nigger Whipper 3000, as his slaves have been slacking a bit. Jason and Jeffrey were taking too long to do his chores, and this really annoyed Caillou. Caillou wanted to take a page out of the wet cardboard people's book and start pimping hoes. This is easy money. Caillou smiled, while just thinking about how he was going to blackmail the hoes on the playground. At recess, he decided it was time to start hustling. "Emily, you're gonna work for me," Caillou said, with his bald head shining like a freshly waxed bowling ball. You're gonna sell kisses and smack on the playground. We'll split the profits 50-50. I get 50. You get whatever's left. Emily laughed in his face. Shut up, Caillou. You look like Jeff Bezos with leukemia. Caillou narrowed his eyes. If you don't do it, Emily, I'll tell everyone you were the one that pooped in the sink in the trans bathroom. Emily froze. She hadn't. But Caillou said it with such confidence, she almost believed it. Fine, I'll do it, Emily muttered. The narrator added gently. Caillou didn't know how far this would go, but he knew Emily was now his bottom bitch. That day alone, Caillou made $25. Emily was kissing kids behind the slide, like she was running a drive-through window at McDonald's. Caillou pocketed every penny. On the car ride home, Caillou bragged, Mommy, I'm an entrepreneur now. Yeah, okay, Caillou, that's great, Mommy said, clearly not caring as she was driving around the shitty part of town looking for her drug dealer. Mommy, how come you not out here making money for a playa? Caillou said proudly. I know some guys who would love them 60-year-old fun bags you got there. Mommy slammed the brakes so hard, Rosie's car seat launched forward, like a missile. Caillou, the fuck did you just say? Mommy screamed. I'm just saying, I take 50% and you take 10 cents and a backhand to the face. How that sound, bitch? Caillou's mom turned around and spanked the shit out of him. But instead, she spanked him in his face with her fist. The next day, Caillou expanded his empire. He recruited Sarah, Clementine, and even Leo. Caillou believed in equal opportunity exploitation. Soon, he had 3 girls and 1 confused twink turning tricks behind the swing set. He wasn't just selling kisses anymore. He was selling Smarties as smack, Flintstone gummies as X, and even baby aspirin as perks. The second graders were lit. Caillou strutted across the playground in his Gucci and Prada. What y'all broke asses looking at? Caillou said, at some grandmas walking past that didn't even hear him because they were between 90 and 1,000 years old. Business was booming, but like all criminal empires, it didn't last. The cops showed up. Are you Caillou? The officer asked. Yeah, nigga, Caillou said proudly. That's me. What you want, pig? You want a kiss too? That's gonna cost you, fat bitch. Oink, oink, oink. The cop immediately cuffed him. You're under arrest for pimping, drug distribution, and we have video of you shitting in the sink in the trans bathroom. Man, why the white man trying to bring a brother down? I ain't do nothing, Caillou screamed. Free Puff, free Kelly, get my mans Gilbert. Out the box, nigga, Caillou continued screaming. Shut your trap and stop talking like you're black. You a white boy from Nebraska, the cop shouted. My great-grandmother, Harriet Tubman, did not go to the back of the Titanic just for me to have to deal with racist-ass cops. Caillou argued back. Caillou wasn't only not related to Harriet Tubman, she didn't even go to the back of the Titanic. Caillou was just retarded. As the car pulled away, Jason and Jeffrey shouted, Free Massa, Caillou! Emily yelled, Where's my cut, you bald bastard? Mommy quickly walked away, afraid she would catch an abuse charge. And that's when Caillou realized, the game really doesn't love you back. Today, Caillou's bitch ass is going to learn that cheating is wrong and that he's a dick face, piss-laced cum bucket filled with fucking dog shit. I mean, he's going to learn that. Love makes you stupid. Caillou had been close with Clementine for a long time. They liked each other. She let him copy her homework. She gave him the red crayon when he wanted it. She even kissed him on the cheek once, even though Caillou immediately wiped it off and said, You, girl germs, before going home to cry into his SpongeBob blanket. But now, Caillou's ugly ass thought he could do better. "I'm too good for Clementine," Caillou muttered, eating glue straight out of the bottle. "I deserve someone hotter. Someone with glitter pencils. Someone whose dad doesn't drive a Kia." The next day at recess, Clementine smiled and waved. "Hi, Caillou. Want to jump rope?" she asked sweetly. Caillou rolled his eyes so hard, they almost spun into another dimension. "Jump rope? You. That's low-income housing behavior. I'll talk you later, bitch," Caillou said proudly, as if he was a king. Caillou set his sights on a new girl named Sarah. Sarah was the most popular girl in class. She had light-up Skechers, 3 Tamagotchis, and not to mention, she was dummy thick. Everyone respected her. Every guy wanted her. Every girl was jealous of her. "Hey, Sarah," Caillou said, leaning against the swing set like he was in a rap video. "Come fuck with a real player? I know guys. Dangerous guys." "What guys?" Sarah said, while not even making eye contact with this bald-headed Make-A-Wish kid. Jason and Jeffrey. They sell smack. I'm basically their boss. I let them do my chores sometimes. They fear me." Sarah squinted. "You're literally 4 years old." Caillou smirked. "Age is just a number, baby." This was all moments before Jason and Jeffrey came over and opened up a can of whoop ass on him. The next day, Caillou had a game plan. He was going to pretend that he didn't want Sarah, so she would like him back. The next day, Caillou started sneaking around behind Clementine's back. "Hey, Sarah," Caillou whispered at recess, hiding behind the slide. "You trying to hang out? Don't worry about Clementine. She's just practice." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You literally share nap mats with Clementine. That's your girl?" Caillou smirked, like a man who thought he was on top of the world, but still peed the bed twice a week. "Yeah, but I'm built different. Clementine's my weekday girlfriend. You're my weekend." Clementine noticed things. Caillou stopped sitting with her at snack time. He stopped letting her borrow his crayons. He even ignored her when she gave him the good swing. "Caillou, are you mad at me?" Clementine asked sweetly. Caillou rolled his eyes. "No, Clementine. I'm just a busy man now." "Yeah, right. What are you busy doing? Crying over every little thing?" Clementine said. This made Caillou angry. He was thinking about peeing on her during nap time, but sadly, he got in trouble last time he did that. One day, Clementine caught Caillou and Sarah in the playhouse in her backyard. "Caillou, how could you?" Clementine gasped. Caillou didn't even blink. "Sorry, Clementine. A real nigga needs a bad bitch, and you just ain't that." This was 3 seconds before Clementine's brother heard and started beating the very little hair Caillou had off of his head. Caillou was becoming something dangerous, a bald-headed menace with an ego larger than his dad's bar tab. Caillou strutted around the playground, holding Sarah's Barbie pencil case like it was a designer handbag. "I'm a chick magnet now," Caillou bragged. "Girls love me. I'm basically Drake, but this time it's legal since I'm the same age as the girl." Caillou tried to impress Sarah by doing pull-ups on the monkey bars. He managed 1.5 before his pants fell down, revealing SpongeBob underwear with a suspicious stain. The entire class laughed. Rosie pointed and screamed, "Poo-poo butt!" Sarah shook her head. "Yo ass is not packing. I knew I should have stayed with Jamal." Sarah said. "You're just intimidated by Riz," Caillou shouted, tripping over his own pants and face-planting to a pile of mulch. Meanwhile, Clementine was hanging out with Leo. She shared her fruit snacks with him. The ultimate betrayal. Caillou snapped. "Really, Clementine? Leo, he doesn't even color inside the lines, and he's fatter than Santa. You downgraded. Clementine ignored him because he was just being a whiny bitch. At lunch, Caillou sat outside the janitor's closet. He tried to talk to a janitor about how all girls are the same, and how a real nigga like him should just stack his bread. This was before the janitor just sprayed him with Lysol and told him to back up. This was also before Jason and Jeffrey overhead and Loki beat his ass again. Caillou finally whispered to himself, "Maybe I'm not a player. Maybe I'm just a bald-headed loser with trust issues." Yes, you are Caillou," his mom said on the drive home. And that was the day Caillou learned that sometimes ugly people aren't meant to have hoes, just like your ugly ass. Today, Caillou is learning that sometimes being a gangster is harder than it looks. Caillou was walking down the block when he saw his two poop-slinging slaves, Jeffrey and Jason, hanging out by the corner. They weren't selling lemonade like Caillou expected. No, they were selling smack. "We made enough to buy 6 gumballs and a pair of used knockoff Jordans," Jason bragged. Jeffrey nodded. "Yeah, Caillou. We're in the game now." Caillou's eyes widened. He wanted in too. He wanted gumballs, and he wanted knockoff Jordans, even though his feet were still too small for them. "I want to join," Caillou shouted. But Jason and Jeffrey shook their heads. "This life ain't sweet out here for a pimp," Jeffrey said, while counting 3 nickels and a Canadian quarter. Caillou didn't understand what that meant, but he knew it was serious, because Jason was holding a plastic bag, like it was treasure. "You gotta get initiated first," Jason explained. "Rob Old Man Henderson across the street." Caillou gasped. Old Man Henderson was the one neighbor who let him come inside and play video games. Well, as long as he had his shirt off. He had an original Xbox and always gave Caillou fruit snacks. "I don't want to rob him," Caillou whimpered, but Jason shoved the pole into his hand anyway. "You have to. That's the rules." So Caillou, with tears in his eyes, marched across the street and knocked on Old Man Henderson's door. "Hi, Caillou," Old Man Henderson said kindly. "Want to play Halo? Just leave your shirt at the door like usual." "I'm sorry," Caillou muttered. Then he took Henderson's wallet and ran away, dropping half the cash because he tripped over his own shoelaces. The narrator whispered sweetly, "Caillou didn't know what loyalty was, but he knew betrayal tasted like chalky fruit snacks." When Caillou returned, Jason and Jeffrey were impressed. "Not bad," Jason said. "Now for your final test. You gotta whack a cop." Caillou froze. A cop?" Jeffrey handed him a much larger pole. "Yeah, here's your tool, lil nig. Go handle it." It was then that Caillou realized that shit really ain't sweet out here for a playa. Ol' whiny head-ass bitch, go get your racks up, thug life, ain't choose you, nigga. Take your freshly peeled, hard-boiled eggheads ass out here, nigga. Bitch made, nigga. Old pussy-ass boy. Fuck outta here, pimp. Still, Caillou took it and walked nervously toward his target. He spotted a police officer standing by the corner store, sipping a Slurpee. Caillou held his breath, ran up behind the cop, and started spraying. But Caillou missed every one of his shots. Caillou's aim was so bad that if he was shooting at Martin Luther King, he would have seen the fall of the Obama administration before even one of the bullets grazed his shirt. The cop turned around. "What the hell, kid?" the cop barked. The cop started chasing him, but Caillou had one advantage. The officer was a fat man who ran like a refrigerator on rollerblades. Caillou sprinted through backyards, ran through a gay pride parade, and eventually lost the cop, who gave up and collapsed on the sidewalk, wheezing like an asthmatic trombone. Caillou was safe, but he was shaken. He collapsed on his front porch, out of breath. Jason and Jeffrey caught up with him. "See? Now you know, Caillou," Jason said. "Yeah," Jeffrey added. "Shit ain't sweet out here for a playa." Caillou wiped the sweat from his forehead. And that's when Caillou realized he really should just leave crime up to the wet cardboard people. The music played gently as Rosie walked up to Caillou with a mask and Nerf gun, imitating robbing him. Caillou didn't understand organized crime, but he knew one thing. He was going to stick to his nice little white boy life. Today, Caillou is learning that sometimes families go to court. Caillou sat in the back of the big, scary room. He thought the judge looked like Santa Claus, but meaner. Rosie was chewing on her block again, because that's how Rosie processed trauma. Mommy stood tall and serious, while Daddy stumbled into the room holding a bottle of special juice. "Boris, you're drunk," Mommy hissed. "I only had, 8, Daddy slurred, dropping his tie on the floor. "That's legal somewhere." The judge banged his gavel. "This is a custody hearing, not happy hour," the judge barked. But Daddy thought custody meant custard and started asking where the pudding was. Mommy told the court everything. How Daddy spent Rosie's college fund on a stripper named Tanya the Tank. How he put his car keys in the toaster. How he poured beer into Caillou's sippy cup and called it a learning experience. The judge nodded seriously. "I award full custody to the mother," the judge said. Caillou didn't know what custody meant, but he assumed it meant Mommy won a prize, like that time Daddy's face turned red, but not from the beer. From realization that he's going to end up with $40,000 in back child support. "You think you're so perfect, Doris," Daddy shouted. "But I cheated years ago. You know why? Because you had 60-year-old titties." The courtroom gasped. The bailiff fainted. Rosie dropped her block for the first time in her life. "I've got 2 other kids. And they're black," Daddy yelled proudly. "Jason and Jeffrey, and I'm moving in with them. And they're black, Mom." Caillou only knew a Jason and Jeffrey in his class, but he didn't know they were black. Later that week, Daddy packed his Spider-Man cup, his collection of expired lottery tickets, his list of porn star names, and moved in with his other family. Jason and Jeffrey's mom worked hard every day, leaving Daddy alone with the children. "All right, boys," Daddy said, cracking open another beer. "Since Mommy's at work, you're my little helpers now." Daddy had Jason mow the lawn with a pair of safety scissors. He made Jeffrey hold the TV antenna while Daddy watched static for 3 hours. Sometimes he made them play catch, but Daddy never threw the ball. He just yelled "fetch" and threw the remote control into the neighbor's yard. Jason and Jeffrey weren't fond of this in any way, but they quickly got used to it. After all, this is how their last dad was, except this time he was visible. Caillou came to visit one weekend. He wasn't sure what to expect, but Daddy introduced him to Jason and Jeffrey. "These are your new stepbrothers," Daddy explained. "Now, Caillou, you own them. If they disobey, let me know and I'll give you the whip." Caillou smiled. He liked the sound of that. "Now the whip might not work sometimes, so I can give you this pepper spray," Daddy said, while holding his beer to the side, spilling drops on the floor. "They're used to it anyways." "Jason, take out the trash," Caillou commanded. "What?" Jason said from the kitchen, not hearing what Caillou said. "Do I have to speak your language or something?" Caillou replied. "Ooga booga booga doo," Caillou said proudly. "Jeffrey, wash my shoes," Caillou ordered. "But you're still wearing them," Jeffrey said. "Wash them while they're on my feet," Caillou insisted. The boys sighed. Daddy took another drink. Rosie chewed on her block. which was starting to look like Swiss cheese. Caillou was starting to realize something. At first, he thought Daddy's new family would be scary. He thought Jason and Jeffrey might take his toys, or his crayons, or his spot on the couch. But instead, Daddy showed Caillou how to turn stepbrothers into free labor. It was like Daddy had passed down an ancient family secret, the secret of never lifting a finger. Caillou leaned back, watching Jason and Jeffrey clean the living room while Daddy sang off-key karaoke into an empty bottle of beer. Something about this just felt right, and that's when Caillou realized maybe Daddy's new family wasn't going to be that bad after all. Today, Caillou is learning that sometimes even little bald children can go to hell. Caillou went to sleep after a long day of bothering strangers, crying when he didn't get his way, and hitting Rosie for no reason other than her looking at him the wrong way. He was ready for bed, but when he opened his eyes again, he wasn't in his bed. He was in a hot, fiery place full of screaming souls and dollar store pitchforks. "Welcome to hell, Caillou," the devil announced proudly. Caillou blinked. "I don't want to be here." Caillou started crying. "Shut it," the devil yelled. The devil grinned. "You're here because, well, come on. You're Caillou. Why would you not be here?" Caillou crossed his arms. "You're just a cocksucker in red pajamas," Caillou muttered. The devil's smile twitched. "Watch your mouth, little man. You're not going anywhere." The devil dragged Caillou to a giant iron door. "Your punishment begins in Hell's Kitchen." Inside was Gordon Ramsay, complete with a chef's hat and the kind of rage only found in a British man who once yelled at a sandwich. "Caillou, your punishment is to cook for Gordon Ramsay." The devil laughed. Gordon glared at Caillou. "Look at you. You look like a little raw chicken nugget with cancer. You're bald, you're useless, and you probably think salt is a Pokemon." Caillou opened his mouth to reply, but Gordon cut him off instantly. "Shut it, you absolute donkey. Get your happy ass back to the kitchen before I garnish you with parsley." So Caillou sulked into the kitchen. Within 5 minutes, he somehow burned down the entire place. Not the food, not the stove, the entire kitchen. The devil stormed back in. "How the hell do you burn down a kitchen in hell? Jesus Christ." Caillou shrugged. "Oopsie." The devil groaned and yanked Caillou out by the arm. As they walked through the halls of torment, Caillou spotted a strange room with glowing lights and a terrifying machine inside. "What's in there?" Caillou asked, pointing. The devil shook his head quickly. "No, that room is for Trump. You're not ready for that." Finally, the devil shoved Caillou into another chamber. Inside sat a man, tied to a chair. Before the devil could even speak, Caillou stomped his little bald feet. "Nick!" Caillou yelled. The devil blinked. "Wait, Caillou, I haven't explained the punishment yet. You're a nigger, 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 nigger," Caillou screamed, pointing his finger like a tiny lawyer who'd lost his mind. The devil face-palmed. The man wasn't even black. He was Dominican. He dragged Caillou once more, finally arriving at a massive throne of bones, lava, and Hot Topic accessories. "This is it," the devil declared. "Here, I will torture you forever." Caillou sat cross-legged on the floor. It didn't even take 2 minutes before he started whining. "I want chicken nuggets," Caillou demanded. The devil ignored him. "Stop poking me with that stick, you big fat red bitch," Caillou snapped. The devil's eye twitched. "I want my teddy," Caillou screamed, rolling on the ground like a possessed bowling ball. "Enough!" Enough! The devil roared. His voice shook the entire underworld. I cannot stand you anymore. Get out of hell and never come back." Caillou stood up, smirked, and gave the devil the middle finger. "Later, Mr. Krabs looking ass," Caillou said, before vanishing in a puff of smoke. When Caillou opened his eyes, he wasn't in his bed. He was on the steps of an orphanage. His parents had carried him out in the middle of the night, hoping someone else would finally take him in. The narrator sighed gently. Caillou didn't understand eternal damnation or child abandonment. But he knew one thing. Mommy and Daddy were really done with his bald little head. Today, Caillou is learning that sometimes not everyone is meant to be a raper. It all started because Daddy was day drinking again, sitting on the couch with a 40 in one hand and Caillou's crush's phone number in the other. "Boris, stop hitting on my bitch," Caillou screamed. Daddy burped so loudly it rattled the windows. He then threw an empty bottle at what he thought was Caillou, but ended up being a trash can. Honestly, can't blame him. Practically the same thing. Caillou stomped his little bald feet. He was furious. He ran to his room, slammed the door, and decided the only way to get revenge was to start his rap career. Caillou didn't know how to rhyme, but he did know how to waste everyone's time. Caillou recorded his first diss on Mommy's karaoke machine. He called it Boris the Bum. "Broke Boris, all he does is drink beer. Stealing my hoe, and I thought I was queer." Caillou uploaded it to YouTube. Within hours, it went viral. Not for being good, but for being the worst thing since Rebecca Black's Friday. The comments poured in. "This is trash. This bald kid fell off before he even blew up. Sounds like Blue's Clues having a seizure." But Caillou didn't care. He thought he was the next Tupac. Whenever someone gave him a reality check, he just barked back with bars he stole from songs he liked. "I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke nigga." Often he would get smacked in the face because he the word. But Caillou didn't care. He thought it made him sound cool. And if he couldn't remember the bars he stole, he would just make something up. But it was trash every time. "I'm out here rapping with young boy while you sitting there playing with your Thomas the Tank Engine toy." As a narrator, I don't even think I have to explain to you guys why this bar is trash. Nonetheless, nobody was impressed, except Rosie, who clapped because all she heard was toy. One night, Caillou snuck into a Playboy Cardi concert. The crowd was wild. The bass was shaking the building, and Cardi was screaming, "Fouah, homicide, homicide," like a vampire banshee. Caillou felt brave. He waddled up onto the stage, grabbed the mic, and shouted, "I'm better than you, Cardi. Caillou runs this rap game." The crowd gasped. Cardi stopped mid-ad-lib, his diamond chain glowing in the red lights. "Ay, y'all check it out," Cardi said, laughing. "Can't a kid think he can step up to King Vamp?" The crowd screamed. Cardi dropped a quick freestyle. "Fangs out, I bite. Turn night to a riot. Lil bald head kid better keep real quiet. I drip in Margiela. You drip in your tears. You ain't even potty trained. Been rapping for years." The arena exploded. People chanted, "Cardi, Cardi, Cardi." Caillou's turn. Caillou's tiny bald head was sweating, but he wasn't going to back down. He stepped to the mic. He took a deep breath, and then he dropped two of the worst bars in human history. "My shoes untied, but I still eat soup. Monkey using a banana to talk to poop." The crowd went silent, dead silent. You could hear a rat fart in the bleachers. Then the booing began. "Bo! Get off the stage, lady," a fan screamed. A fan threw a soda cup. Another threw a hot dog. Someone even threw a diddlo, like it was a WNBA game. Caillou panicked. He tried to recover. Well, at least I ain't dropped my dime. Unlike this nigga. All he know is crime. Look, all I'm saying is if they don't like it, why do they say it all the time? Caillou asked the doctor while laying in the hospital with a broken arm, a broken leg, and a bruised ego. The doctor didn't pay attention to him. He was just checking the chart to see if his baldness might actually be cancer. Mommy stood by his bed, shaking her head. Daddy cracked open another beer. Rosie chewed on the hospital bed rail. Caillou whimpered. Maybe. Rap isn't for me. Caillou didn't learn how to rhyme. Caillou didn't learn how to flow. But Caillou did learn one thing. Never challenge Playboy Carti.